Evening, morning, and afternoon, everyone, wherever you are. I hope you're having a wonderful week so far. We are here with the latest episode of the Inside Crypto Show, interviews and discussions with regular people like yourselves. Today is a very special show. We are joined by Lorena and Imene, who works at 21 Shares a Month. They're coming at crypto from different perspectives, so I thought it would be wonderful to get discussion going about what it's like to be a beginner in the space. I have to do the usual disclaimer. Anything said by either Lorena, myself, or Imene is not financial advice. It's just our own opinion. Please do your own research. We have quite a few guests today, so we're going to keep today's intro a little bit short. I also want to mention as well that there's construction going on in Lorena's building. So if you're listening to the podcast or watching the YouTube video, you might hear some sounds. It might be edited by the time you guys hear this, and you can just ignore this message. If it's not, I apologize. For Imene as well, she's based in Tunisia, so there might be power issues. She might drop out of the call. If that is the case, just bear with her. She will come right back and we'll continue the conversation. Both of you, thank you very much for making time today, especially you guys are busy. It's Thursday. I'm sure you've got loads of things to do. Life is busy. Let's go with Lorena first. Lorena, would you introduce yourself to everybody?
Okay. First of all, thank you for hosting me with you, Ryan, in this podcast, and also Lorena. I am Imene. I am Tunisian and also based in Tunisia. I work remotely with 21 Shares. In details, I'm doing an internship with them. I started on June and it has been a wild ride. I am enjoying my time, learning a lot in different fields. I come from background of software engineering and computer science, but we will speak about that in detail in further time.
All right, go ahead, Lorena.
Okay, sadly the noise is still in the background, but anyways, Cran, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Imene, to make me part of this. So I'm doing an internship in sales department at 21 Shares since 2 months ago. I'm based in Zurich and so living in Zurich since less than a year for now. I'm very excited to be part of this and let's see. Thank you very much.
No problem. So since we went with Imene first, you said software engineering that's what you're studying. How much time do you have left? How did you connect software engineering and crypto together?
Actually, I tend to switch fields. In my university studies were in physics and chemistry at the beginning. Then I did a program bootcamp with the Holberton School, which is a school, an international program for software engineering, an 18-month extensive program. And things then led to, I was fan of crypto and reading about it, wanting to hear that word, but not knowing exactly the way. And thank God that things led to starting this internship with 21 Shares. For my study, I am finished for the moment.
Oh, nice. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Lauren, what about you? Sales and marketing, how did you get into that? Is that something you suggest for people who are listening to this podcast as to be a sales marketer in crypto?
I think this crime is a kind of that kind of things that the universe puts you in. As I came to this country, I wasn't expecting to have such a huge chance only since the beginning, and I feel honored and blessed for that. I think with Bitcoin, I never had any relationship before. Only to see my husband that is an investor on it, and he's a programmer, very involved in the topic, for sure, much more than me before to start on 21 Shares. And he explained me sometimes how it worked, and I had a very basic knowledge in that moment. It's not that I have more now, but it was less in that moment. And yeah.
Okay, fantastic. All right, Imene and Lorena, let's move on to today's main topic, which is just talking about crypto, how you got into it, questions you guys might have, questions other people might have. If you're listening to this, we're not doing the most in-depth conversation today because one of the things, like when I spoke to Lorena and Imene, when we're on the same team and at an event earlier, and we're like, wow, there's so many people, we have so many questions. Crypto is still very difficult. So before we get started with those questions, Imene, what was your first crypto experience? How did you learn about it? How did you say, oh my God, this is interesting. I want to get into it. I want to learn more about this. Tell me about your crypto memory. And then Lorena after that.
Sure. So, as naive as I was, I heard Bitcoin. First, I've heard of it. It was on when it was its big boom around 2018, I think, when everyone was talking about Bitcoin in the news, in the e-papers, everywhere. So I was like, this is something interesting. But what made it more interesting actually was my mom, who came and like, I mean, you always speak about news and things. Why you don't know a lot about? You don't know about Bitcoin, not a lot even. People are investing money and gaining a lot. I was. That's interesting. I would share more in the future, but give me some time. I think until now I didn't come back with an answer, but I'm trying my best to answer her. So that's it. I try to have more to read more from economic point of view and technical point of view. At that time I didn't start yet my program with coding or software engineering, so it was more on the economical and financial side. Then I came to see it more of a technical and coding side.
Okay, very interesting. Lorena, what about yourself? What was your first crypto memory?
My very first crypto memory was, I would say, it's going to be 2 years ago. So the funny thing is that I never was like directly involved with Bitcoin till I met my husband. Pretty much, I think he has been the reason that somehow the universe is putting me in that direction. So almost 2 years ago, I met my brother-in-law, and he actually is a person that is working in his own company about Bitcoin. I'm still trying to understand more or less how his company works. He's a pretty smart, he's a pretty hard worker person. And almost 2 years ago, I met him for the first time in his birthday party. And we have this conversation, and he, in a very logical way, like a very simple way, tried to explain me how the Bitcoin worked and somehow. And for me, it was like because it has been a topic that the information is like a kind of limited, is like like a kind of encrypted, that not a person that never has a financial background as me is going to understand it since the beginning that he read about it or look some videos about it. But it was very nice with him because he was able to put the topic in what I can say common words to me understanding. And that was my first experience, and now I'm having a lot of more experiences.
All right, for the next question, one of the cool things about this podcast is like Lorena's from Colombia, Imene's from Tunisia, I'm from South Africa originally. We are not the typical, like the target market for Bitcoin and Ethereum and all these other sort of cryptocurrencies, but this is like people expect crypto to take off in our respective countries. So what I want to ask you guys is, what is the perception? It's not on today's questions, but I'm just like, oh, I have to ask this question. In Lorena, what's the perception of crypto in Colombia? What do people think about it? And Iman, what about Tunisia? What is perception about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin? What's the feelings about that? Lorena first.
Thank you, Krian. I think crypto is something very new. Actually, a couple of days ago, I had this meeting with the research team on 21 Shares, and they say, for example, one of the biggest source of information is Twitter. And for me, that was like a kind of shocking, because it's like when you need to know something about a specific science, you go to a book. Yes, but I think with crypto, we are writing that book in the history of the humanity. It's like we are living that time. So I think Colombia is still a bit skeptical about it because it's something very new, because it's missing many information. I have the feeling that the most part of the people had this perception about they don't know what it is, and also that anyone doesn't. It's like no one know what is crypto. It's like it sounds very interesting, it's very powerful and things like that, but no one knows anything about it. Super mystery. What I know about my country, now that I have been doing my research, I have been more involved since I started to work in this company, is my country, for example, is, and the new president is making big efforts to put us in the map with this kind of currencies or this new technology, for example, with blockchain and this. Yes, I think it's going to be, especially for Latin America, is going to be a slow path. It's like a slow trip, but it's going to happen, and it's going to. I know the people is interested. It's just that there's not too much information about it. That's my perspective. Thank you.
Iman, what about you? What about Tunisia? What's the feeling there?
Okay, I'll be starting from my personal point of view. As younger generations, they are excited. There are few that has more knowledge than others. Like I speak for engineers, bankers, and investors. They are so into it and trying to have their path into this new field. But for older generation, they know such thing exists, but they're not really concerned or interested in finding a way, especially that our economy is in a critical phase with inflation. So people like are trying to find their best way or their exit with normal, like classical economy. But the other side from the news, like I see our government, especially the prime minister, she's trying her best. She's saying that there is a promising future with it in the country, and we have the ability and the human force, like engineering and banking specialists, to put us on the map, as Lorena said. I hope things get faster and we see actual plans taking place in the near future.
Man, both of you, fantastic answers. That's so cool to get two different perspectives today. All right, a next question for Imene, and same question for Lorena is, so you guys have been in crypto for some time, maybe short time, maybe a long time. What are your major issues? Like, what's stopping you from learning more? And we've talked about this before in preparing for the show, right? What are the issues with you learning more, getting more into crypto, doing more in crypto? Like, to people who are listening to this podcast, who are maybe they are the CEO of a crypto company. Oh my God, Iman said this amazing thing. I need to fix this in crypto. What do you want people to fix?
Okay, I'll start on again. I start with myself. So the company is like an intersection of more than one field. Like we're doing technology and finance. I'm from a bit of background of software engineering, as I said. So I find myself like I need to learn more and have a lot of skills in developing and especially data engineering and knowing more of stuff, and also learning about DeFi tokens and cryptocurrencies. I wish that the day has more time to learn about it. But what I'm sure about it now, I get why other people don't understand it easily or get a bit confused and intimidated by crypto. If I'm someone that works closely 8 hours a day with people from the field, I still find it intimidating and didn't come back with an answer to mom. Like, I know that like other the economy had been here for centuries, not even years, and it's not common for everyone. So we really should find the most simplest way to introduce it for all categories of people, like from the age of 4 to 78, to understand it, to make the transition cool and easy. From we have this economy, but we're like solving these problems with this new method. I made it clear. Just find the most simple way to introduce it and make it accessible and easy to understand to everyone. And
Nice. Lorena, what about yourself? You have your husband, you have your brother-in-law. How
Yes,
can you make crypto more accessible for you? What are your issues so far in your life?
I think I completely agree with Imene. I'm absolutely 100% agree with her. I think the language is like the biggest issue for me. It's not the same when you go to the doctor and the doctor say, ah, okay, you have headache. Yes. And it's like that's the common term for a headache, but actually in the medical terms it has another name. I know that in Spanish it's cefalea, but if I go to someone that I never had heard that word in their lives, and I say, I know I have cephalea, they are going to look at me like, what? You have what? Yes. So I think that for me the biggest issue is that one, the language. I have these talks with my husband and with my brother-in-law where they are trying to speak with me in more common ways. It's like a this A more plus this B is equal to C. Something that I can digest easily, because at the end of the exercise, it's a simple operation. It's just sometimes the way that is communicated make the things a bit harder. And that order of ideas, I think Imene has absolutely, and it's also something that I have been thinking about it. And actually, the reason that we are here today. And it's, I think that's the next step for crypto to becoming something digestible for everyone, because that's the only way. It's like for example, iPhone was one of the biggest inventions in our history as humanity, socially speaking. But it's like the big success behind this tool is like was everything in just one, but also was absolutely intuitive. I don't know if I'm using the right word.
That's the right word.
It's like the people was able to use it in such a way that it felt natural, and no, and it wasn't super complicated. And I think for me that's the next step for crypto. And also for me is my biggest issue. I need to translate it. I need that crypto translator.
Nice. You both said two very interesting things. I'm going to talk about Lorena's thing first, which is language. Is the problem, and I guess this wouldn't just be about crypto, it could be about like science or physics, as Iman mentioned. Is the problem that the world is still too English centric? Like, is too much of crypto in English? Should there be more stuff in Spanish? And do people in Tunisia speak Tunisian or Arabic? I'm not sure actually.
Arabic, but
Arabic.
our dialect Tunisian, yes.
Yes. So like Tunisian Arabic is, so I guess Lauren, you can answer that first, and then Iman, you can answer. Would it help you if there was more stuff in Spanish?
I think yes, of course, because it's like the when I go to search information about crypto in Spanish, I can find something, yes, that it seems something that I can understand, but then I had to go to Google Translator to translate all the definitions that are still in English. And then I had to put that in definition in my head in Spanish to understand it. I think that every person in the world has their own way to learn things. And I'm just thinking there must be an universal way, like a simple way to do the things. Sometimes it's like when you go to through all these texts or not, information that you can find about Bitcoin, is like the most part of the text is like I don't know how to say this in English. Siglas. It's like the short version of an entire sentence. It's like for example, HTC, and that it means something that is a completely sentence. So then you find this text that it has that and some connectors, and you are like huh? What is this? And I have to be honest, it's exhausting because you have to go and to search every short version of the sentence to understand just like a paragraph of this size. And then you realize that it's something super simple. Ah, but yes, I think in Spanish will be even better because I can translate it. I can just digest it immediately. Of course, would be much more better.
So I was just going to ask you, what about Tunisian Arabic? If things were in your native language, would that help better with you understanding not just the technical side, but the financial side as well?
Yes, but may I precise, because I can think of different Tunisians, people finding their comfort with Tunisian dialect, other with French because it's our second language. So many educated people and can find their ease with French. It's more about simpler approach to Bitcoin. It's like for a language that is understandable by everyone. It doesn't need to be from finance or engineering or computer science to understand it. That's more of then it will be super helpful to have more explanation in different languages, but in a simpler way, I may say.
Okay. So then, Iman, you mentioned that as well. Like just now, you said like you asked the question, what is the simplest way to understand this? So for you, in your opinion, right, what is the simplest way for people to understand crypto? Or is there a simplest way?
I can think of it like diverging from our usual things, like we are not the usual bank, going outside the box starting from the box itself, people are familiar with banking services, credit card, and everything. Take that as the first step and develop from that idea that we're going a little further. We're taking advantage of our current situation, that everybody is connected, that you don't need now to go shopping on daily basis for clothes and everything, and really connected to our daily life and the evolution of human being. That as 100 years ago, we didn't use phones or anything. Like for the example of Lorena, like iPhone, as Tunisians, at the start of iPhones, we didn't really use it a lot, and we see it like something only for I don't know, Americans. Then Europeans started to use iPhone. Now everybody have iPhone in Tunisia. So people first they push the idea away, but they get familiar with it really easy.
I like that. Push the idea away. Lorraine, what about you? What do you think is the simplest way for somebody to get into crypto or learn about it?
I'm just very illuminated by Imene right now because I'm completely agree with her, and is the simplest way is like when you put the people in the real situations. Because if you start to speak with someone about the technical aspects from crypto, there's no way that you can see that in your real life. I need to buy milk, I need to buy shoes, I need to pay for my rent. How can I use it? Yes, and what is the benefit about it? And for what reason I should just stop what I have been doing with my normal currency and then just start to use this one. I think that's the biggest step to start. Yes, to put the people in the real situation, not just in this technical where everything is just so huge, but at the same time, it's like when you are studying mathematics. I think Imene knows better of that. It's not the same when you, for example, for me was always a tricky situation with maths. I was always good in physics, but not in maths. And the thing was like, I realized of that when I was a bit older after school. And it's because physics, they gave me a real situation. Yes, it's like a car is driving with this speed and is going through this certain distance. And I could imagine that in my head and it has sense for me. Yes. And in that way, I think crypto should be, yes, because it's not the same with math, because in math it's like A plus B. And it's like for me are letters. I cannot just put it together. Yes, that was the way. I know most probably the people that is going to listen this or see this is going to see this is the stupid, most retarded woman ever. But believe me, I'm speaking for I think many people around the world that maybe has the same way to learn. I need to visualize. I need to understand them in my own reality, and that's the biggest. If you create a speech that it puts the people in the real situation, like hey, you're not going to have to pay more to the bank, like tons of money because of the management of your card or your account, that you can do transactions around the world without paying like a lots of money. That is, when you put that kind of perspective in front of the people, I think it's easy to make them understand.
Nice. Thank you, Lorena. Imen, let's get into you guys' questions. That's the point of today's show. Out of your list of questions, Imen, and Lorena as well, like what's the first question you would like to ask our audience or myself or somebody? Like what's your top of the mind crypto question that you'd like to get an answer to?
Do I start?
Yes, go ahead. And then Lorena after that.
Okay, so it's one big question. I joined the company in a bear market, so it was terrifying at the beginning. I was like, the situation is really shaky. So my main question is, I see people are working really hard to move forward and get out of this crisis, but what are the guarantees for people who are excited to start the cryptocurrency and want to enter this world? Like, what would be the guarantees that it will be a more immune and robust field, or second method that won't be like easy touched by universal events?
It's a very good question. Lorena, what about yours? What's your question?
I was thinking more like about the future, the Bitcoin, and actually this is a question that we have talked before, the three of us, and is it's like about the true future of the Bitcoin, and it's which is the next step that we, as a company that belong to this wonderful field, we should do. It's like or yes, it's like I'm realizing now that it's like okay, there is a lot of products, there's a lot of people interested, there's a lot of people working behind of this to make it more interesting, to make it like a great. But then what in 10 years, what should be the next step? Yes, it's like I can feel it, that we are now just like taking care of this baby for the first time. We're like at the 6 first months of this baby that we call crypto.
Nice. I like that
Very
analogy.
much.
Taking care of a baby. Let's go back to Imene. Imene, so you said, what are the guarantees for people entering crypto, like in the future with the bear market? I want to, because you both of you are really smart, right? So I want to get what's your answer to this? What's your feeling? And then I'll give my very not. I'm at the same level as you guys. I'm not very smart at this at all, but I'll give my take, and then we'll go to Lorena's question, and we'll do the same. So, what's your feeling? Are there any guarantees, right?
Like I mentioned, I know that people are working really hard and not satisfied with the situation. I think that the experience of failing, falling, I don't these words won't repeat itself, because lessons are learned, and they will have mechanism to avoid it or to immune themselves from it in the future. That's like what I can think about it.
And I agree with you as well. I think a lot of media, a lot of news have said the same thing. They've said like there loads of lessons have been learned. The bad actors in crypto have gone out of the market, and now we're a bit more healthier as an industry. But at the same time, there's no guarantees in life. Like I live in Taiwan, and 3 weeks ago, China was shooting missiles over Taiwan into the sea. No matter where you live, anything can happen. Look at Ukraine and Russia, inflation, 10% in England. Things happen. But at the same time, you have a very good point. It's right. People are learning, people are going to make progress. Lorena, what about you? Like, where's the baby going to go in 10 years?
So I was thinking, listen to Imene, listen to you, that you had those perspectives. It makes me feel that we are like looking into the future with the same eyes in a very expecting way, and also I think with hope. And I think this is going to be great. It's just that I think at the beginning, as we know, everything is complicated, especially because we have been ruled by the same system of financial system for so many years, that for sure is not going to be easier for something so innovative and so radical, a way to say. It's not going to be easy to take him out. It's like I would like that you answer this for me, right, Korean. How many years has crypto? It's not many.
It's been about more than 10 years so far. I believe when I was living in America so many years ago, studying, and that's the first time the idea of Bitcoin Pizza Day, where one guy spent
Yes.
1,000 Bitcoins to buy Domino's pizza, a $500,000 pizza. So it's going, and I think it's not going to go anywhere. And I think it's just the idea in the news, right, which is that Bitcoin is digital gold, and that's what you buy because, I mean, who can afford real gold, right? Who's going to go to the bank and say, hey,
Yeah,
give me your gold? But you can just go to Binance or Coinbase or wherever, whatever your exchange is in your country, and say,
exactly.
I want to buy some Bitcoin. It's relatively safe. It has that 21 million coin cap. So it's the
Exactly.
low limited supply, high demand. And so if you get Bitcoin now, you'll all be living in mansions in your respective countries in the future. 6 bedrooms, 2 swimming pools, a tennis court, 5 poodle dogs, all that sort of stuff.
Sounds like a dream. But actually, I think that from my perspective, my very personal perspective, I think that the fastest way to make that this baby grows up faster is to put this information in hands of everyone, to make it digestible for everyone, understandable for everyone, and creating that interest. Because yes, crypto has a lot of benefits for people, but if they at this point they don't understand, it's like they're not going to use it. Yes, they can. After all, our society has been just very get used to living with the financial system that we had for more than how much? I don't even know how many years ago start to exist the banks, but for sure I think that's the biggest step that we have to make this easier. It's like as long as more people knows about this, it's going to grow this big baby.
And Lauren, you had some really good points. We've talked about, we said language might be a solution to solve this problem, make things simpler. As Amin said, what is the simplest approach to getting
Yes.
people to understand? And then you had a really good point, which is create interest. And how do we create interest? Like, you as a marketer and a salesperson, like, how do you create interest in clients and in people in general? Like, how do we, as the crypto industry, say, hey, Bitcoin is shiny, it's beautiful, Ethereum is wonderful, it's useful, NFTs, cool. How do we make people interested in stuff?
I think this is going to sound like a, yes, the same, like cliche, I can say, but it's like a, I think from my experience on sales, I think that the biggest and the most important thing about a client is their necessities. What do you need? And pretty sure that we can solve it somehow with our solution. It's like for me, it's pretty important when you listen to your client, because we have the solution always in our hands. So for me to create interest is just to make a more like a, as I say before, it's like a you, if you want to start a business, let's say for example, you live in a small village, and in that small village, the most part of the people is vegetarian, but then you want to sell sausages of meat. Yes, it's like a, okay, if you don't do your market research, you're going to be fucked. Yeah, because you're trying to sell sausages in a vegetarian village. So I think that it's always very important to know which kind of people can have Bitcoin. And I think it's for everyone. Crypto is for absolutely everyone. But for now, I think the market is very limited just to the big financial and some people with financial background, or someone that is like a small, very small groups of retail clients that they decide by themselves, okay, I want to get involved on this. But it's still a very reduced market. And I think that the way that we can make it bigger is like a, okay, let's take the people from the commune, and the people that from the commune what they want. Of course, it sounds even funny to say it, but who wouldn't be interested in just to have more freedom with their money? Who? Yes, freedom to move, to make transfers, freedom to take it wherever, freedom to don't have to pay for every transaction that you do, like a tons of money for that. In my country, in Colombia, I had to pay a lot of money for every transaction that I did. You say, but come on, seriously. And I just think it's like so easy. It's just so simple that it sounds like funny. It's easier. It's just to put it in the right language. It's just that.
Nice. Iman, what about you? How would you create interest in crypto?
The same example that Lorena cited, people in a small village that live like are disconnected will be in the most need for Bitcoin, because that will create the creation, and transferring money will come easier in its easiest way for them, because that's how it make it for everyone, the crypto. By the time we are like everyone is connected now, but we need that peaceful isolation, not the bad kind. So crypto will offer comfort. You can do your transfers and everything in your mobile or with your computer. You don't need the traveling to the bank or anything else.
Nice. Good answer. I hate the bank. Last time I had to transfer money to my brother, it took forever.
I have been in an awful fight with my bank in Colombia for 2 weeks already.
Oh no.
2 weeks. I hate them. I because it's like it's so much bureaucracy and such a bad custom service that is just frustrating. And it's like everything about money should be simple, especially as Imene was saying before, is that there's many people that it would be very super beneficiate about to reach these kind of technologies, these kind of currencies. It's like to them would be the life much more easier. So as long as more people know as there's more people just get involved and understand this, Bitcoin is going to be unstoppable, or crypto coin.
All right, I think we're going to try and squeeze in one more question from each of you, and then we're going to try and end off today's show. Iman, what's your last question you'd like to ask, or you'd like to know, or would like to talk about today?
it's more of bit of hardware. As I see, data will be immense and big. Are we ready for more world more connected that asks for more speed? Like they want their transfer. We are guaranteeing. I'm going back to my word. An easier word, faster transferring and everything. Are we ready for that? For that kind of connection? Do we have the servers built for the data that will be here? So are we like hardware wise ready for this? And I forgot the word. So what we say, signals wise, ready for this?
What's your feeling in Tunisia? Is Tunisian infrastructure ready for like crypto and transfers and mobile payments and that sort of stuff, or they still need to improve there?
Absolutely to improve. Like I want for the bank, they're trying to digitalizing their services and offers, but I end up with a bad connection, or I try to sign in 3 or 4 times in their app to get there. So we need a lot of improvements in the infrastructure. That's the main obstacle or issue with for starting next to our situation, our economic situation, for starting Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies.
Is the solution for Tunisia is like better mobile internet or better residential internet? Build something for people's houses, or just sort of go straight to cell phones and have start setting up more cell phone towers, more 5G or 6G, better cell phones? Is that the solution?
I'm not an expert, but for my personal point of view, it will be to go for mobile internet. It's a lot easier, and everyone from kids to seniors in here have their own device, so that will be easier from my perspective.
Okay, very good. I agree with that as well. I think like in South Africa is like huge. It's the bottom half of Africa, and but there it's so many people spread so far apart. And just what you guys have said today, which is a really good point, is that people living in like the desert in the middle of South Africa, the nearest big city with the nearest big bank is like a 6 hour drive by car. So if you have good internet or good infrastructure, set servers and speed and signals, that's really going to make a difference to say, do your banking, transfer your money from this place to your bank or your cousin or your friend, or pay for this service. So I think it's great. Lorena, last question for today. What do you want to talk about or ask?
I think it's not a question, it's more a feeling that I'm having. Is like a Latin America is like a, we are get used to that everything comes to Latin America last. We are the last in everything. Like for the moment that something arrives in our country is because I was just running around in the whole world for years. What I think is Latin America is getting prepared for this. Actually, many new governments in different countries are like adapting this idea to their own programs. Like, okay, we can start to create the infrastructure that is actually, I think, the most important, because after all, cryptocurrency has this particularity. It's like a, you need internet. There's no discussions about it. It's like a, you need internet. And maybe that can be also something that it can be solved somehow in a couple of years. I don't know. The engineers are the ones in charge of that. But I think is the most important that the countries in Latin America start to create this proper infrastructure. There's many people like big cities. Okay, the big cities are already prepared, but there's many people that is in the around outside in the small village living in the mountains. They also need like some kind of money transactions or things like that. They can reach this kind of financial life. I don't know how to say it in English, but I think is also very important that every government, every president in every country is like a open-minded to this, because if you have president that is still very attached to the traditional ways, it's going to be hard. But I'm very happy. Many things are happening in Latin America that seems like we are taking that direction. It's going to be slow, but it's firm. It's like a, we are going, it's like a slow steps, but firm. I'm very happy and very excited to start with this. Since I am, yes, I am in charge of Latin America and Iberia region in the sales department. So for me, this is going to be a journey and I'm very excited.
Nice. I'm looking forward to the journey as well. Okay, guys, thank you very much for making time today, especially out of your busy afternoons. I appreciate it. And last things, any pearls of wisdom, last things you would like to say to our listeners, to our audience? Also, do you guys do Twitter at all? Is there anywhere for people to follow you on social media like Twitter or YouTube or Facebook or TikTok or anything like that? If not, that's okay. Then I'll just tell people to follow Amun 21 Shares, of course. But if you'd like people to say, I have to follow Imene, she's a fantastic engineering student, or Lorena in sales, right? Ibira, yeah, I get to do some Spanish tweeting. Please let us know. Let's go, Imene, first. Last final words about crypto, questions, whatever you want to say.
Sorry, I'm taking advantage of the network. So don't be afraid to educate yourself about crypto and Ethereum. It is useful in most cases. It will be something for yourself to have a substitute whenever you want, to have more power. That's it. Go ahead and learn about it. It is beneficial in any case. Sorry, I'm not a very posting person, but I'm present on social media. I read. So if anybody have an interesting resource or news, just send it and read from Amun. They're the experts. They know what they're talking about.
Thank you. Lorena, what about you?
I want just to first say thank you. Thanks to you. Thanks to Imene for being part of this. I'm very grateful. Always learning. Always. And for the people that is listening, I think for the people that knows or have some knowledge about this, sorry if I say something wrong. And for the people that doesn't have knowledge, you're not alone. And for sure, we are going to find a way to understand this wonderful topic, because it is indeed very nice and it's indeed very necessary for each one of us. And it's the future, and it's where is supposedly we are going to be in a couple of years. And it will depend of companies like us, like 21 Shares, how fast this can grow. Because yes, I'm still thinking that as long as all the people can, or the most part of the people can have knowledge about this, it's going to be unstoppable.
Those are great words. Both of you, thank you very much for your time. Imene, especially for enduring the very hot weather in Tunisia. And I appreciate it. And this episode will be up tomorrow. If you guys have any questions for Lorena or Imene, you can reach out to me on Twitter. You can reach out to us. You can see the Twitter logo on our video here, twitter.com/Amun. Send them to us, and I can always put this in Slack and they can give you guys some answers. If you like them, if you want them to come up on another podcast or another video, please send me a question on Discord or Telegram, and Twitter again as well. I'd love to have them back on again in a few months' time as well. And thanks both of you, and then we will talk to you guys again in the future.